very popular selling item. But in a thumbnail online, they all look the same, and all you can see is basically the color or the price. Ours is priced pretty good, about the same as other stools, but typical of master products, you get more. And maybe it's going to cost $1 more, but don't worry about it, because here is another popular selling stool. It's, you can see, smaller. It's also thinner, but wait, there's more. Turn it over. You see this base on the stool of the more cheaply made unit compared to the base that we use? I mean, you're sitting on this stool rocking back and forth all the time. Something that just sort of tries to be a base is not going to be strong. It's possible that the wooden plate here on which everything rests is going to break sooner on this plate than break on this plate. This gives real support to the product, and this is, you know, it's a nod towards doing the right job. You can see here more how much more thicker ours is than this. But wait, the typical way to make this, the foam is just glued onto a wooden plate here. After a while in all the use, the glue breaks loose, and the whole thing begins to look like some high school shop project or maybe a grade school shop project. But our foam is molded right on to the wooden plate. You can't even feel the wooden plate. Should I cut it open? Trying to make a point here. The foam is molded onto our wooden plate. Can you see the wooden plate here? It's real expensive to do it this way, but boy, it lasts a long time. It always keeps its shape, and guess what? It's more comfortable too. Pardon me, this is kind of unrehearsed and it looks kind of ugly, but I'm trying to make a point. Here is another stool. Wow, this material is easy to cut. So here's another stool that's more cheaply made. The foam, like I said, is glued on to the plate. By the way, there's no vents like we have, which enables the thing to function better. Do you want to sit on this, you know, that covers even the wood, or do you want to sit on this? This is cheaper foam. What do you want? Do you want this nice thing that's really made nice and strong, or do you want this? Do you want to sit on a base like this or a base like this? Lastly, I'm talking about wheels. Throw this away. This is a typical wheel you're going to find. You know, it's cheap, it's hard plastic, so forth and so on. Ours is good plastic, but wait, there's this nice soft stuff, which means you could use it on a wooden or a tile floor, and it won't make noise, and it won't scrape or scratch anything. This is really the high-class wheel. Hard to see this all and appreciate it in a thumbnail. And you may have to spend a few dollars more for this. What, $5, $10 even? But it's going to last you a long time. It's never going to break. And it's what really provides a satisfactory ownership experience. And that's what we're all about. Thanks. You clicked on the button, Why a Master? I'm going to show you now the difference. Some of the things that you can't see in the thumbnails that you're shopping with, but that are so vitally important to the safety, to the long life, and the good investment of the table you're about to purchase someplace. For instance, let's talk about the upholstery. Upholstery, there's a tremendous amount of science and chemistry going on in the upholstery. If the upholstery is really cheap, then it emits toxic fumes, which are just terrible for your health, going to give you cancer. It can create birth defects in children. It's totally illegal in certain states and in Europe. It's just bad. Additionally, cheap upholstery can be of the type that reacts negatively with oil, whether it's vegetable oil like massage oil or even mineral oil. Oil has molecules in it that can destroy the upholstery fabric. Pretty soon it'll get cracky, it'll get hard, it'll just literally disintegrate if it's the cheap stuff. The good stuff, it doesn't stay stable for years and years and years. That's what you want, that's what you expect, but you don't always get it. Additionally, in the back of the upholstery is a backing. There's got to be a backing. Look at this. This is strong. It's like a pair of Levi's that's laminated to the back of the upholstery. It helps keep the upholstery from puncturing, from tearing. It helps keep it looking new. Years after you've bought the table, the upholstery is really important. And here, something you surely can't see. This is important, and ours is the strongest. If you would try to say what's the heart of your table, you might say it's the hinge that holds it together here in the middle. All the weight is going down, and when the weight is going down, this is our hinge, by the way, when the weight is going down, like this, pressing down, if it's a lot of weight, our hinge just kind of, the more weight you got, the tighter it gets. It just grabs. And we got screws coming in this way and screws coming in this way. Literally, the hinge of our table, the center of the table, is the strongest part of our table. But in other situations, it's the weakest part of the table. Look at this. If you take a micrometer, trust me, I've done this already, this steel is more than twice as thick as this steel. And by the way, size, do you want this or do you want this to be in your table? Here's another thing that you can't tell when you're looking on the thumbnail of the website. I mean, it drives me crazy, but watch. Here's two knobs. This knob has a threaded insert. This is the business end of the knob. It's like a piece of aluminum foil in there with a couple of twists. I mean, this is going to strip, it's going to fall out, it's going to break, and soon after you have the table, essentially, if you don't have these knobs to hold your legs on, you don't have a table. Here's an MHP knob. It comes in a couple different colors, but wait. Look at this felt pad, first of all. This felt pad, which we're the only ones who do this, when you tighten the knob, it keeps it from scratching the wood. I'm going to take off this felt pad and show you some more about the way this is made. I mean, this is not rehearsed, doing as good as I can here. Please be patient. The point is that underneath this felt pad is a very thick piece of brass. It's not just thick, but it's deep. The threads are deep. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is never going to break. And this brass threaded sleeve is not merely pressed into the part. It's overmolded. It's part of the mold. And the machine that makes the whole thing, it's part of it. So we have the brass knob that's proper. It's expensive. We have this overmolded with very, very strong plastic resin. There's thousands of different kinds of plastic. Some could be brittle, etc. This is really hard, really strong. It will never break. And then over that, we have some really nice soft touch stuff molded over it. So it just kind of feels good, and you just kind of feel good every time you have to adjust your table because it's just nice stuff. Many companies, though, who will say Recce Panel, I don't want to show the name of this company. Companies that'll say Recce Panel, they're making it out of one thickness of wood. Is this showing up on the camera? Can you see this? You don't edit that out. I mean, I'm really. Can you see this? I mean, really, on a Recce Panel, do you want the thin one or did you want the thick one? We only make it one way. We only do it the right way. Got to be careful, and you can't see it in a thumbnail. See this nice little dense piece of rubber? This is something that nobody else, it's rough. I tore it off a table. This is something that we put at the corner of the table, under the upholstery. You can't see it. But I'll tell you, we are the only ones who do that. We put it under the upholstery here in the corner because when you're handling the table, naturally you're bouncing it on the floor, you're dragging it, hitting it, you're going back and forth. And so the upholstery often at the corners is a wear point. But in order to reduce that wear, we began years ago installing this piece of plastic at all four corners so that we increase the beautiful life of your massage table. So here's a situation that you just can't see in a thumbnail, and what I'm going to show you now is against the law, actually, in the United States of America. This foam, here's foam that is, by law, should be not able to burn. Okay, it's a law. You don't know what they're putting in the box. This is there's several brands of tables out there in the market. You see them online, and it burns. Watch this. Can you see this? This is just not legal. You don't want this. I'm going to put this, you can't even put it out. Okay. Here is foam from, this is legal foam. This will melt a little bit, it's going to smell, but it won't stay, burn, or even get more burny. Come on. Doesn't smell great, but this is what the law says you should have. Melting foam, not burning foam. I want to go back to talking about hinges again and hardware. In fact, all metal parts that are in a massage table, any massage table. You've got various metal parts like hinges, and you've got screws. There's a lot of bad things that could be hiding there, or a lot of good things. So it's not just a matter of size and strength. It's one item is a matter of how you go about plating these things. This is brightly plated, not necessarily for beauty, but if you don't plate this properly, then it's going to rust, it's going to corrode. And you know, when things like that happen, I mean, it's ugly, it's going to get on your fingers, but also it's going to weaken and it's going to break under stress. And tell me, there's a lot of stress on a massage table. To properly do this job, to plate screws and to plate metal parts like a hinge, you've got to clean it properly after it's formed. You know, there's a lot of oil going around in those machines, you know. And then, so you've got to clean it, then you've got to plate it, and you've got to plate it again. These are double plated, and they're cleaned properly before plating, because if you don't do that, then everything just comes off and goes to pot. So when you look at something, there's more to it. And you don't want to buy something that's it's gonna be all rusty and junky and corroded and weak before you know it. Literally, coming overseas in those saltwater conditions, sometimes if it's really bad, really not done right, it'll be rusty by the time it gets here, perhaps 1 month after it's made. That's the truth. I referred in my introductory remarks to the tests that we pass. Here's some of them that we passed in the last year. Here's one. The test itself could make you sick. I mean, it's like 50. Where's the page number? There's over 60 pages here in this test. You know, just checking every little thing from the finish, from the humidity of the wood. I've got a humidity detector over there in my desk. It's just, you know, it's a high standard that we're forced to meet, and it was a real learning curve. But we're the only ones that have done that. And here is some of the stuff we have to go through. And if some little thing is wrong, we got to do it again. Period. So here's another thing that I don't know what to do about some of the stuff, to tell you the truth. But if a maker in his material, in his thumbnail details that you're reading online says 2 inches of foam, what would you expect? Would you expect 2 inches of foam? This one, I'm not mentioning the name, says 2 inches of foam in the material. I have the material right inside here. But if you go to measure it, it's really, you know, like a millimeter over 1.5 inches. It's not 2 inches. It's nowhere near 2 inches. It's a lie, period. And we don't do that. Something else, if you want to focus on this again, it's another branded table, but you've got that butt joint. There's no dovetail, no strength, no furniture kind of construction there. And maybe you can see it. You have no screws going into anything substantial. You've got these little brads. Maybe there's some glue in there. But this kind of construction, the butt joint held together by a few, basically they're straight staples, they're not even nails. A nail would be a blessing in this case, but these are just what they call spot nails in the industry. And it's a pretty crummy kind of construction. So here's something else I'd like to talk about that you just take for granted. Everything should be right. You see these handles here? The handles, you're picking it up. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of stress put on the handles, and you can see there's a washer and there's some kind of screw or bolt or whatever, right? Looks okay. By the way, this is an this is a master massage table. This is our table. So can you see in here? Can the camera get in here? This metal part, it's called a T-nut. It's not rocket science. T-nuts have been around forever, but the point is it's a metal fastener so that when you screw in the handle for the screw for the handle, it goes into a steel connection and never breaks, never comes out. It's not just a wood screw that they pop into the wood there. That would be bad. Here on this table, the handle looks similar. You got some kind of screw. This looks kind of cheap, but it's a screw. If you feel here, I don't have a knife to cut this open with, but I'm feeling as hard as I can. There is no metal fastener here. This is just a wood screw going into wood, and it's going to tear out. Pretty soon you got one handle on your table, or maybe no handles on your table, because there's no metal to metal fastener. It's a detail you can't see in the thumbnail, but it's there, and it's the difference between a table that's going to last you and be safe and convenient to use, or not. Here's a face pillow. The main thing I want to talk about on this face pillow at this moment is that our major customers, the ones I referred to before who make me take all these tests and everything, they insist that we put every face pillow through a metal detector and an x-ray machine to be sure that there's no sewing machine needles, or broken parts of needles that got lost kind of in the foam or in the upholstery, and that the needles are safe. Period. It doesn't happen too often. I guess statistically in history it can happen. I don't remember if it even ever happened, but they make us do it, and I don't think anybody else goes through that kind of testing. Hi, I'm Michael Friedman, president of Master Massage Tables, and I want to tell you about this table, the Champion, the table you're looking at. The Champion is meant to be a bestseller, and it is. Why? Well, first of all, the size is the most popular size today. It's 30 inches wide. The length is, if there is such a thing as regulation in massage, it's regulation, 72 inches long on the bed itself. Plus, when you put the face cradle on, the end, it gives another foot. So it's really large enough for a 7-foot person. The upholstery is what they call CFC free. In other words, chemically, it won't degrade with oil when it gets near oils. It won't give off toxic fumes. It's safe. It's as environmentally friendly as upholstery can be. More importantly, we put this very heavy backing on it. It's like a pair of Levi's laminated to the back of the upholstery, because it'll last longer. It feels better too, but mostly so it'll last longer and not wear out and look bad like so many other tables do that don't have this beautiful backing on it. We have most tables in this price range have a hinge that looks like this, kind of inadequate. Our hinge is like this. It's not only strong, and the steel is triple the strength of this stuff, but it's made so that the way it works, and when you get the table you'll see, or you can look at the sample, when the weight goes in, the table, the hinge pinches in on itself, and it makes the table even stronger. So you could have a party and jump up and down on this thing, and nothing bad is going to happen. The knobs on the table. Here's a typical knob from some cheap guys. The sleeve, the insert here, it's like aluminum foil with some twists in it. It's very, very weak. I don't know if you can see it on camera, or it doesn't look good here, but our brass sleeve is very, very thick, and it's very, very deep, and the threads are very deep, and it'll last forever. Why it looks kind of messy here is because first of all, we mold the sleeve right into the plastic part. We don't just stick it in. We mold it in, and then we mold over this very soft, kind of sexy feeling plastic, and then we put over a felt pad, which I tried to rip off so I could show you. There's a felt pad we put on so that when you tighten it against your legs, it doesn't scratch the legs of the table. I couldn't get it all off because it's on there pretty good. This, believe it or not, is very important. The foot, even the foot on the table, the foot on this table is made of a plastic that's soft enough so that it won't slide across your floor in case you're going to have it on a hard floor. It also won't leave marks, and it has 2 screws, which is something that's not to be taken for granted. Some tables have just 1 screw, and it means when you do drag the table across carpeting or anything, or a floor, the foot tends to pop off, and then you're left with an uneven table or a screw head sticking out to scratch everything up. this is really important, how you make the foot. Lastly, I think, just to show you the integrity and the strength that this is second to last. That's it. Look at the arm shelf that comes with some tables. If you see it online or in a picture, you can't tell that this is what you're supposed to get, and this comes with this table. But this is what some people pass off as an arm shelf. Let's see. Should I get? Pardon me for. I don't want to get violent or anything, but let's cut this open right here. And this is unrehearsed. Let's see. Let's take a look at the thickness of this piece of wood. See it? It's pretty much like a soda cracker. It's going to break the first time you use it. Maybe the second time. Let's see what we got here.
You can see where it took that black magic marker off, and there's still a little right at the very sharp edge of the blade. So I know I didn't lean too far. Can still see just a little, so I'm going to work on it a little more. Try to get all that black marker out of there, that black magic marker. Okay, got that side looking fairly good. Now we'll do the other side. You can see where it's taken the magic marker off. Now if your tool's real dull, it's going to take you a while to do this, but once you get it done, it's easy to keep them sharp. Clean the blade. What I like to do is look down the sharp edge of the blade. If it's nice and sharp, you won't be able to see any reflected light right at the very sharp edge. We're going to use the 600 side. Same thing here. You can see the little bit of black left, so I need to tilt the sandpaper just a little bit more. Okay. Now we'll go to the other side. As you start sanding, tilt it toward the blade, the sharp edge. Okay. And you try it on your block. Pretty sharp. Not sharp as I want it. So I'll keep working it till I get it sharp. Once you get a good edge on it, then you can come back with just the 600 grit and work it. Just a couple hits, strop it, and you're ready to go again. But if you get some dents and things in there, you have to use the 200 to take it down and get those out of there. So I'm going to hit it some more with my 600. See if I can get it a little bit sharper. I feel this side's the one that's causing the trouble. Take your marker again. Mark it up. Take your strop. I can feel that I need to put a little bit more on there. This is the blue buffing compound. Doesn't matter which kind you use. Aluminum oxide, the green buffer, you got the blue and the whites. Some are finer than the others. The green and the blue are probably my favorites. Yeah, I can feel the roughness. starting to smooth it off.
في حاجة اسمها بلوك، عارفاها؟ بلوك على الفيسبوك، بلوك على الواتساب، بلوك تليفونات، بلوك انستجرام، بلوك 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 بلوك، عارفة بلوك بلوك بلوك.
Okay. It's always better to use a shoe horn when trying on shoes because it saves pushing the back down and your foot will slip in much easier. When trying new shoes on, one would expect to have a little gap in the V here for lacing, so when the shoe does stretch, you've got a little adjustment. The most important fitting of a shoe is actually from the heel to the joint, because your joint is the widest part of the foot and it should fit in the widest part of the shoe, which is right on the apex there. Not so much to worry about from the joint to the toe, because that will look after itself. And if you get the heel to the joint correct, that means the arch of your foot is sitting in the correct area of the shoe. So perhaps you'd just like to stand on that and we'll have a look and see how it fits. I think that is quite comfortable. How does it feel to you?
Excellent.
Does it?
Very nice.
Okay, well you might like to try something with a slightly different lace. That is what we call the Oxford lace. You can see from the style of shoe we're showing you here, it is what we call the Derby lace, which is very much more open at the throat, and is, if you happen to have a high instep, then your foot will just slip into it. So let's just stop, in we go. And it was very much easier for your foot to go in. Again, the same fitting formula applies, that the heel to the joint is important. And again, we can lace it up, and we've still got this nice little area here for adjustment when the shoe settles down. So just stand up on that and we'll have a look. See the heel clip is very good. You will notice that a lot of our lasts are what we call combination lasts, so it's wider in the forepart and it's more tailored to the heel. That's why you get this very nice heel clip that sits in very close. That again, I think would be a very comfortable fitting for you. Mostly it's just a matter of personal taste, whether you prefer the Oxford lace or the Derby. But you know, some people have a high instep, so they're obviously pushed in that direction. Another style of boot which you would like to consider may be Jackie, which is the classic chucker boot. Again, it's Goodyear welted construction, which you may or may not know, which means that the sole is actually stitched through to the upper. And this carries a day-night rubber sole, which is non-slip and has lots of properties. You don't get any wet penetration up through the sole, it's non-slip, and it is particularly hard wearing. So if you'd just like to prop your foot in there. Again, used for shoe horn, it saves forcing the back of the boot down. Also again, we've still got the adjustment for when the boot settles down a little bit and you need the laces a little bit closer. Nice heel fitting, joint here, widest part of the shoe, it's fine, no creasing under the arch. Stand up on it. You know, again, a very smart boot, but with the high performance sole. That'll give you a lot of good wear. The secret of rubber soles is to keep the heels nicely repaired. If you wear down the heel, then you tend to walk on the outside of the shoe, and that will accelerate the wear in the sole. So just keep an eye on the heels, keep them nicely repaired, which obviously leads me on to another topic, doesn't it? We at Cheney repair shoes, and we're delighted for people to send their shoes back to the factory for what we would call reconditioning. They're totally stripped down and they go back on their original lasts. It takes about 3 weeks to do, and you will be totally amazed the transformation. For a third of the price of a replacement pair of shoes, you have a new pair. I'm always extremely proud when I bring out a pair of repairs, because the customer will say, "Oh, are they my shoes?" And you can say, "Yes, they are." It's a wonderful feeling, wonderful feeling.
So let me see. Right. So this is how I started drawing. Working on some theme of maybe like the sort of maybe this will be like the sleeping bus driver. A drink. The nude bus driver. Take this brush for a second. I'm gonna work him over. Give him a little. Woo. These guys break. They break easy. It's such a mad, crazy world these days that everybody I draw is kind of a lunatic. Maybe make it nice. Contrast to the lunatic here. Let me see if I can do this. Now I gotta get up on a ladder to reach the top. Let me see if I can find a ladder. Just a second. I gotta get another one of these. Let me draw. Hold on. Sometimes I just care about the diagonal motion of a drawing. I just care about where it goes on the paper. I'm not really concerned too much with what it is. take a couple colors. Well, that's my version of the déjeuner sur l'herbe for today. I think that looks okay. And then, I don't really get back from my drawings too much and look at them. I usually like to just get in the middle of them when I'm working on them and not really look at them until I'm done. That is a complete drawing.